Hello everyone, thank you for stopping by. I have 4th Christmas card for you in my 12 cards for Christmas series. I will be using the Happy Plaids stamp set from Concord 9th, and I will be showing you the basic patterns you can do with this stamp set. So let's get started. As I said, I will be showing you what I think are the two main patterns. Of course, you can mix and match and create additional patterns as well. The stamp set has 4 of the plaid building stamps. The stamps on the right with the 3 stripes are the main stamps, and the 2 stamps on the left are the fill stamps. I used here the stamping press from Fiskars. I wish I could have used the stamping platform because I didn't have luck with the stamping. I could not use the Mini Misty because the stamps are too large. I do have the Tim Holtz stamping platform, but if you watched my first card in this series, what I didn't like, it doesn't have any measurement markings on the gray base, which I would have needed, and that's why I didn't use it. I used the Neenah Solar White cardstock. For the first card, I used the stamp with the diagonal stripes. And for the inks, I chose some pigment inks. These are old inks that I had in my stash for a few years already, and I don't really use them, but I had a red and green, so I thought it was a good idea. And I thought the pigment inks will give me better results, but they didn't. I stamped first in the middle and then on top and the bottom. The green ink I used on the small solid stripe stamp, and I stamp horizontally and vertically. For the second fill stamp, I used the VersaFine ink in Onyx Black. The stamp is practically 2 lines, and I stamped them only over the image with the 3 lines right in the middle. And of course, I didn't have a luck with the stamping. To fix it, I just used a black gel pen and a ruler. Actually, you can skip this stamp entirely and just use a gel pen. Next, I worked on the second basic pattern using the second stamp with the 3 stripes. I decided to use the dye inks from Hero Arts, since the pigment inks weren't working very well, plus the red ink pad sort of got ruined. What I noticed when stamping, the stamp was very sticky. After I stamped it, it stuck to the paper, and with the red pigment ink, it was sticking to the ink pad, and this is how it got ruined. Although the ink pad was quite old, so that might be connected as well. I'm not an expert on stamps and the quality, so if anyone watching has any advice how to make the stamp less sticky, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I stamped the same way as I stamped the other panel. I didn't get good stamping results as well. With the stamping platform, what I would do is to stamp the middle of the panel, then move the panel up, and that's why I would like the measurements on the platform. Thinking about it now, what you can do if you have the Tim Holtz platform is to get a square paper and use that for the measurements, because with the Mini Misty, when you are stamping with clear stamps, you will be using the paper that comes with it anyway. So when I'm using this stamp set in the future, I definitely will be trying it with the Tim Holtz stamping platform. So after I was finished, I also wanted to see how this would look when I stamp with just a black ink on a colored cardstock. So I picked colored cardstock and I stamped the pattern with the VersaFine ink in Onyx Black. I stamped the same way as on the other panels. I definitely think the stamping was way easier here and it turned out quite well, and I really liked it, so I stamped green and blue cardstock as well. For the 2 lines stamp, I decided to use the Versamark ink and heat emboss the lines with golden embossing powder from Wow. I think the result is great, although it was a little bit difficult to figure out where to stamp, especially on the darker cardstock. To finish up the cards, for the first 2 cards, I die cut tags, black and green for one card and black and red for the other. And for the cards with the colored cardstock, I decided to die cut a circle from a black cardstock. I'm also using 2 older stamp sets from Clearly Besotted. I had them for a few years already and I never used them. Well, the one with the sentiment I used before, but not the one with the biggest sentiment. The Christmas tree I will stamp on the die cut circle, and the big sentiment stamp that says a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from our family to yours I will stamp on the tags. I used my mini mistake for the stamping and I used a washi tape to cover the part that says from our family to yours. I just wanted to make the sentiment more universal. I used the anti-static powder. I added a little bit too much of the powder, but it didn't matter. And then I stamped it with a Versamark ink and heat embossed it with a white embossing powder from Wow. And then I used my heat tool to melt the powder. For the tree, I used the same gold embossing powder I used on the lines. And for the sentiment, I used the season greeting stamp that is in the stamp set with the sentiments. I attached double-sided tape on the back of the panels, and on top of the tags and the circle with the Christmas tree, I attached a foam tape. Before I adhered the tags, I added a piece of red and white twine and I tied it into a bow. And lastly, I attached the panels on top of the card bases. For the first 2 panels, I used a white card base. And for the panels from the colored cardstock, I used a card base using a Kraft cardstock. And the stamped tags and the circles I adhered in the middle of the cards. And because the tags are quite big, it covered most of the background and the imperfections in the stamping are not so visible. Here are all the cards I made. I do prefer the ones I made from the colored cardstock. Not only the stamping was better and it was easier to stamp because I was only using one color, but especially with the heat embossed lines, it just gives the card something special. Anyways, I hope you like these cards. If you did, I would really appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. On the screen right now, on the left, you can check out card number 4 from last year's series. And on the right side, you can select the playlist with this year's card series. Thank you all so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!